let me just be the first to say that don't forget to wear your sunscreen. Like maybe you got a weird thing about different types of sunscreen. I don't care. But dude, look at my forehead. I just went on a boat yesterday. I went whale watching and I didn't wear sunscreen. You're not really supposed to be wearing a hat either because we were on a ex-Coast Guard type of boat where it's like the Cadillac, like super fast and your hat would just fly off. So didn't wear a hat, forgot to put sunscreen on, and my face feels like sandpaper right now, which really sucks. But you know what else sucks? What's happening to Canada? That's right. Trump is steamrolling Canada. He's not putting sunscreen on Canada either, and he's just going to heat us up till we burn. This is getting pretty bad. Our government, though, is the one to blame, not Trump. Trump is doing what he needs to do, and Canada is doing what they think they need to do, which is try to sneakily screw over America. And boy, oh boy, yeah, that's not working out. So if I think I'm in pain now because of sunscreen or lack of sunscreen, wait till we see what the heck Trump does. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do really want to encourage everyone to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. We got to talk about protecting yourselves, not just about sunscreen, but online, digitally, especially since we're talking about digital service tax on America. You just got to be able to protect yourself. And this is the best. I couldn't find a better way than private internet access, which happens to be today's sponsor. Here we go. This video is brought to you by today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. If you're fed up with government censorship and the government tracking and then selling your data, well, boy, oh boy, do I have a fix for you. Private Internet Access, my go-to VPN, is the best way to cloak yourself so that you can browse the internet anonymously. Also unlocks a whole bunch of censored news here in Canada, which is the Liberals' quota. In addition to that, when you have Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, it allows you to access content that is restricted by this country. So you can use American Netflix, French Netflix, Italian Netflix, whatever it is that you want. There are so many benefits to private internet access, but my favorite is the fact that it works on so many different devices. One subscription protects unlimited amount of devices at the same time. You can also change your IP address to more than 91 countries around the world. If you use my link down below in the description or the pinned comment below, you'll get 83% off private internet access today. Alternatively, you could go to piavpn.com/sunshine to get the exact same discount. Thank you, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring today's video. All right, so what's going on? Is Trump going to annex Canada? Is he going to take over Canada? Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't even know how I feel about it because, yeah, I enjoy Canada's sovereignty, the thing where we've got no kings, but we got a king type of thing. But also, we need America. We need America to be on good terms with Canada. And right now, that's not happening. So let's take a look at what is really going to happen for Canada, the fallout, and how bad this really is, because it's bad. Oh boy, it's bad. Here we go.
These are some of the most powerful men in America, handpicked to be center stage at Donald Trump's inauguration. The leaders of Amazon, Google, and Meta are also the people most impacted by Canada's digital services tax, which on Monday could cost U.S. companies over $2 billion.
This has a disproportionate amount of attention in the United States, and I think we need to be ready to say, you know what, maybe this is just not worth the risk.
Canada's digital services tax was introduced in 2024 and applies retroactively to 2022. It targets companies who make more than $1.2 billion, of which at least $20 million comes from Canadians, either through online advertising, marketplace or social media services, or selling user data. The Canadian government expects to bring in over $1 billion every year from U.S. tech giants like Google or Amazon and Canadian companies like Shopify, who will all pay an extra 3% levy on digital service revenues.
We don't like the taxes, and obviously we think it's patently unfair to do it retroactive.
Canada's DST has angered Americans on both sides of the political spectrum. Joe Biden disputed it under the Canada-U.S. Free Trade Agreement. Even Canadian politicians have said it's too divisive.
I talked to Democrats, I talked to Republicans, and they are furious.
Critics say while the tax could have been a point of leverage in the ongoing trade dispute, it would have been better to delay its implementation.
By saying we are going ahead even while we're negotiating was a risky move.
Yeah.
And to the extent to which we thought maybe the U.S. was bluffing, we've learned that they're not.
It's dumb. This was very, very dumb by the Carney liberals. I mean, this is ridiculous to just in the middle of trade negotiations say, hey, you know what? We're actually adding in a digital service tax on all your tech sector, but we're going to backdate it, not starting effective immediately, but starting effective in the past. That's just weird. It's like you're making up with a buddy and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you owe me a bunch of money from the past. I'm making it up, but you owe me that money. Like, you think you're going to make up after that? Probably not. It's irresponsible and it's reckless. And we all thought that Justin Trudeau was dumb and idiotic for the way he went about things. And don't get me wrong, he absolutely was. That wasn't like a layup to say, oh, he wasn't. No, he for sure was. But Mark Carney has been in this role for like 2 months, and he's proving to be just as reckless, if not more reckless than what Justin Trudeau was, because Trudeau had 10 years of trying to navigate this sector, and he had a lot of time to try to negotiate with Trump, and it just never worked out. And he got trolled. He got called Governor Trudeau, and then 51st state started happening towards Canada. Then it kind of stopped. And now Mark Carney, he's brought it back. That's right. And you're going to hear later on in this video that, well, President Trump is back with the 51st state comments because of Mark Carney. So anyways, let's take a look at this next video of how devastating the trade talk ending is actually for the Canadian economy.
Freestanding stove, dishwashers.
Kitchen staples from American brands up in price.
Price increase was around 17 points.
But down in sales at this appliance store.
The customer, they are looking now for a non-American product.
The impact of Donald Trump's trade war, specifically steel and aluminum tariffs, is hard to miss here, even for brands who've weathered the storm.
Probably they are waiting what is the result of the negotiations. Then if they don't have any deal, they will probably increase the price.
But a deal is now less likely. After a Friday bombshell from U.S. President Donald Trump, he says negotiations are off, the president blaming Canada's digital sales tax.
And it's not going to work out well for Canada. They were foolish to do it.
It always is an unstable, unpredictable mess when you're dealing with him.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says he hasn't spoken with Trump since he said he was walking away from the table, but insists the interest of Canadians is his top priority as his government looks to continue the complex negotiations.
Canada has plenty of cards or assets to be discussed just in pure economics, but more importantly, the state of the relationship is important as well. So how that all gets worked out is awfully important.
And it's crucial, too, for businesses waiting in limbo, impacted by consumer hesitancy.
We're getting a slowdown on sales right now because the consumer, they don't know about the tariff, what will happen.
Senior government sources tell CTV News work continues behind the scenes, and the Prime Minister engaged today with Canadian officials on this file. Trump and Carney had previously agreed at the G7 in Kananaskis to get a deal done by July 16th.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening at all. I mean, the way that Mark Carney went about this by bringing Trump into Alberta for the G7, being all friendly, having his back. Carney actually had the president's back-ish. I mean, not as much as we would have hoped, but publicly stating that Iran is not allowed nuclear weapons. As a Canadian leader, like, what does Canada have? We don't have nuclear weapons. We got no skin in the game other than we live on this rotating rock. We are useless on the global stage when it comes to military might. And so for us to stand behind the president is, you know, a show of solidarity. It wasn't we agree with President Trump. It was that we just reiterated, copy pasted, and changed the name of the, you know, press briefing. So that was kind of neat to see that, but it just turns out that that's just cheap political points that Carney's been doing. The real political points that Carney could have had is by not implementing a backdated, you know, digital tax during negotiations of trade talks. Like, he complains about the fact that, and rightfully so, Canadians have the right to complain about the fact that our auto sector is going through tariffs, steel and aluminum. Like, these things suck, and they do actually cause damage to our country, our economy, our jobs, our morale. Like, it is hurting us, you and I, as we speak. You would think that our leader, with our best interests, would be like, hey, okay, let's you know, try to figure out all this stuff and then move on to the next one, instead of simultaneously now starting two separate wars. It's just bizarre. It's piss poor leadership, and it's what elbows up crowd voted for. So here we are facing those repercussions. And speaking of repercussions, let's make a promise to each other. Okay. Whether you like me or not, let's just make a promise, please. We got to make sure that this guy right here never, ever, ever becomes the conservative leader at the federal level. Doug Ford is just a weird snake in the grass with a stick up his ass. I don't like the guy. Here he is laughing about the fact that him and the mayor of Toronto, Olivia Chow, okay, are going to ride a tandem bike together for like a weird photo op.
We have a phenomenal relationship. The mayor and I always say opposites attract, and she's just a wonderful person. We see each other almost once a week, twice today. And so I'm going to take you out on a date to one of these concerts. I'm going to pick you up on one of those double bicycles. I'm driving because I know you want a glass of wine, and I'll drive home. We have a phenomenal relationship.
That's just weird. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Look, he's the conservative premier of Ontario, the conservative, but I'm still not really over the fact that he betrayed the federal Conservative Party. And so let's just make a promise to each other. If he ever throws his hat in the ring, we I don't know, I don't want to say band together, but I will be speaking online and using my platforms, plural, because I got like a bajillion YouTube channels, and we're going to just say the truth. I don't want to say attack him, because I don't want to get in trouble for saying that, because I'm definitely not attacking him, but we're going to point out the truth, the fact that he's a bad person and he's not a real conservative. So let's just make a pact to each other. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let me know down in the comments if you agree to that, because it feels like he is gunning for Pierre's job. Even though that specific video wasn't about Pierre, I'm just holding on to like other resentment from different previous, you know, situations. And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And speaking of the same page, now we're talking about one of the most controversial things in Canada. Should Canada become the 51st state? Yes or no? I don't know. Some people flip-flop. Some people say hard no. Some people say, I don't care. I'm done with this. Yes. Well, it doesn't really matter what we think, because we don't really have like a say in it. I think what really matters is what President Trump says and thinks about it. And those comments are back. President Trump, over what's going on with the trade talks, how they're ending because of the digital tax that Carney is trying to sneakily put in, he's now brought back the 51st state comments.
Canada is a very tough country to deal with, I will say that.
But
and I love Canada.
You have USMCA in place.
I know, but
you'll have to deal with it.
USMCA is no good if they cheat.
What does that mean?
Well, there's been things going on that we don't like, and things going on where they took advantage. And hopefully we'll be fine with Canada. I love Canada. Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state, okay? It really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States. We don't rely on Canada.
He's got a point in the sense that Canada does rely pretty much on the United States, which is probably why you have Mark Carney pushing so hard, so quickly to shift our independence off of America and onto Europe, which is something that I don't agree with. I don't think that we should be trying to move over to Europe instead of America. I really like America. I've spent a lot of time in America. I've worked with a lot of Americans, their military. When I was in the military, I've done lots of stuff in America. I love America. I consider our land kind of the same. I mean, you go right into northern New York State, they've got Tim Hortons. They've got a lot of Tim Hortons across America in, you know, the upper part of America. And it kind of feels like you're in Canada, but the road signs are different and the speed limit's different and different money. But more or less, it's very similar in a lot of ways. We share our value. Like, we have closer values with Americans than we do with Europeans or Muslims. You remember that comment that Mark Carney said, that Muslim values are Canadian values? Yeah, I don't know. He could have said American values are Canadian values, and that would have been like a lot better. But whatever. Hey, he's the leader, and that's his path to choose. Elbows up, right? Elbows up. But I just want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think that 51st state is a good idea? Do you, like, I know a lot of people are on board with it, especially on the conservative side of things. And let's be objective about this. My audience is like 99% conservative, right? There's no Trudeau and Carney lovers that are really watching this, but a lot of people on the right who voted for Pierre, conservatives, are divided on this because there's some sentiment that we're doomed and there's no hope of saving Canada. So screw it. Fuck it. Even let's just be the 51st state. And there's a lot of people that say, no, we got to fight for our land. My grandpappy didn't die in the war because, you know, we should be American, blah, blah, like all that stuff, right? Not to dismiss it by saying blah, 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 but it's going to be a longer video if I just don't say blah, blah, blah. So I want to know what you guys think. Should we or should we not be? My own personal opinion is I think more of America should be integrated in Canada. So we have a monopoly when it comes to our even cell phone service, our internet service. There's like 4 companies. So maybe taking, and some of those companies actually exist in America, like TELUS, I believe, is in America. Like, you can buy TELUS in America, but you can't really get AT&T in Canada, but you can get that in America. So Canada products and services are a lot more accessible in America than American services are accessible in Canada, if that makes sense. So if they maybe brought in some of their American banks and brokerage accounts and stuff like that into Canada, that would be a lot better, I think. Maybe having some joint military bases where Canada and American bases are now in operation so that America can kind of front some of the bill, so we have a little bit more protection, a little bit more security, like things like that, where we're more woven, right? Interconnected versus this northern and southern countries that are always fighting over trade. Like, I feel like our trade deals and stuff like that would be a lot better. Tensions would be a lot simmered down if we were nicer and more open to American culture and American things existing in Canada. And also, it would bring down a lot of our prices, and it would be just kind of cool because, let's face it, some of the cool parts of America, even though it's their vast land and, you know, arguably the opportunities there, is the things that they have. You know, even potato chips. There's like 10 different styles of barbecue, whereas Canada just has barbecue. But in America, it's northern barbecue, southern barbecue, southwest barbecue, hot barbecue, not so hot barbecue, eastern barbecue, western barbecue. Of course, I'm using metaphors, but you get the point. They just have a lot more options on things. And hey, it might not hurt to bring some of those options here into Canada. But again, that's my opinion, folks. I would absolutely love to know yours. Do you think that Canada should be more integrated with America? My answer is yes. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. That is going to conclude our video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It does feel like scary times. If you are nervous about the trade deals and the ongoing negotiations that Canada has with America and our cost of living, if you feel like, hey, this does feel like a lot of doom and gloom is out there, you would be right to have those feelings, because our leadership has proven time and time again that they have no idea what they are doing. And instead of doing the things that I just suggested, which is be more interconnected with America, American culture, American services, they try to distance themselves, almost like living in like Beverly Hills. Like, there's some weird thing about Canadian culture that's identity is that we're not American. So I feel like a lot of liberals view Canadians as way better than American and American culture and things like that, which is obviously not good, but that's just my observation. Again, love to know you guys' comments down below. Look forward to seeing you guys in another video. And don't forget to wear sunscreen, but also go get yourself some private internet access so you can be secured online. Peace and love. See you next time. Bye for now.